Hi, I'm Kai here on behalf of Studio 22. Today I want to talk about one of the most misunderstood terms in printing, 300 DPI. You've probably heard people say, make sure it's 300 DPI, but what does that actually mean? Well, here's the truth. 300 DPI by itself doesn't tell us very much. It only becomes meaningful when it's linked to a specific image size. So, what does 300 DPI really mean? And why does it matter when printing your photos? DPI stands for dots per inch, and it describes how much detail is packed into a printed image. When we say an image will print at 300 DPI, we're saying that 300 individual dots of ink will be printed within every inch of the final print. The more dots packed into each inch, the more detail and sharpness we can reproduce. But here's the important part. DPI only matters when we know the physical size of the print. For example, a photo might print beautifully at 10 by 15 centimeters because the available pixels are concentrated into a relatively small area. However, if you take that exact same file and enlarge it to an A1 poster, the image may start to look soft or pixelated. Not because the DPI changed, but because the image simply didn't have enough pixels to support that larger print size. On the other hand, if an image contains enough pixels to print at A1 size while maintaining 300 DPI, then you have a genuinely high-resolution file that's ready for large format printing. As I mentioned in a previous video, Americans typically work in inches rather than millimeters. And when talking about DPI, that actually makes a lot of sense. If a print is 8 inches wide at 300 DPI, we're placing 300 dots into every inch across those 8 inches. We could technically measure dots per centimeter, but the printing industry adopted DPI many years ago, and the term has simply stuck. This brings us to something even more important than DPI pixel dimensions. Instead of asking, what's the DPI? A better question is, how many pixels does my image have, and what size do I want to print it? For example, if your image is 3000 by 6000 pixels, we immediately know how much information the file contains. From there, we can calculate the maximum print size that will maintain excellent quality. And here's a fact that surprises many people. An image saved at 72 DPI can print identical to an image saved at 300 DPI. A 3000 by 6000 pixel image saved at 72 DPI contains exactly the same amount of image information as a 3000 by 6000 pixel image saved at 300 DPI. The pixel count hasn't changed, only the metadata attached to the file. That's why professional printers focus on both pixel dimensions and intended print size, not just the DPI number. So remember, check DPI describes print density. Check pixels describe how much image information you actually have. Check print quality is determined by the relationship between the two. If you're ever unsure whether your image will print well at the size you want, simply send it through to us. We'll check the file, advise you on the best print size, and help you get the best possible result. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more print tips from Studio 22.